Hi, I'm Robert. Welcome back to another on the road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Stop. Before you begin any repair, unplug the appliance from the wall outlet. It is also recommended that you check for proper voltage. Remember to also turn off the gas. Today we'll be replacing the timer on this Frigidaire gas dryer. The original complaint was not working or heating. I've come out and I tested through all of the high limits and the push to start switch and determined that the timer was my issue. To complete this repair, you will need a number 2 Phillips screwdriver and a painter's tool. To replace the timer, to begin this repair, we must first remove this back cover. Removal of the back cover is done by removing 6 number 2 Robinson or Phillips screws from the back. There are 2 on each end cap and then 2 on the top. Now I'm going to put my thumb against the back panel while I undo this last screw. That way the panel doesn't fall. And the panel's removed. Next we're going to remove the knob by sliding it straight off. We'll set that aside. And there are 2 Phillips screws, number 2 Phillips screws, holding the timer in place. We'll go ahead and remove those. And rotate the timer out. Now let's take our new timer out of the box. Now, what I'm looking for as a technician is to make sure that the timer motor sits in the same position as the old one, which on this it's off to the left a bit. And then across the top, I've got my A, B, and C terminals, and it's the same on the old timer. And then I have AD, TD, H down in the right corner, and they're the same on the old timer. And then we have 2 terminals down here which are X and TM. And our timer motor leads on the old timer are on the same spots. So we're good to go. We're gonna get this installed in place and mount it, and then we'll swap the wires wire for wire. Now the holes that are located in the front of the timer, they're not threaded, so we're fitting the screw in, and once it gets snug to your hand, you want to take your driver and you want to drive the screw in to make your threads. And this is going to save you from having to fight with it while it's in the console, where it's a little bit more difficult to handle. You'll feel it tighten up as you're turning it, and you want to just keep on turning it and let it make its way through the front of the timer, and then back it back out. And like I said, this is going to make this real easy to put in now, because we're not going to fight it while it's sandwiched in the console. Now we're going to fit the timer in place in the console, and I've put our first screw on the tip of the driver, and we're going to just line it up with the hole, and screw it in. Now you'll get some slippage of your driver because you're actually putting a screw through 2 to 3 separate pieces of metal. Even though there's a hole, the threads of the screw want to grab onto each piece of metal as it goes through. So you do get a little bit of resistance, but it'd be a lot harder if you didn't thread the holes of the front of the timer prior. Now we'll reinsert the timer knob. Here's our flat side and our flat side to the knob. So we'll pop that right on there. And now we can go to the back and swap the wires. Again, we'll rotate the timer back up. And we've got our A terminal, it's got the orange wire on it. You can use a small flat blade screwdriver or a painter's tool, really any flat device to pry the wires off of the terminals. You want them to come up as straight as possible. You don't want to really jiggle them around side to side or front to back because you don't want the connectors to loosen up. And if you go wire for wire, you can pretty much ensure that you're getting your wires back in the correct spot or on the correct terminal. Now we'll move down to the corner terminals. And then last, we have the one wire down here on the very bottom next to the timer motor wire. And we'll just place that on the terminal it belongs on. Okay, now we'll reinstall our control cover panel. You want to just line up your screw holes. And then we'll get a screw in. Now there are two screws that are slightly different as far as the threads and the length. And those two go in the center on each side because they go into the plastic trim piece on either side. I always go backwards the first turn on plastic to make sure that I don't cross thread the hole. Metal is slightly more forgiving. Now we can move on to the other side. So now we get our top one in. Grab our plastic one. Back up a bit to find the thread and screw that in. And the last one on the bottom. And that completes the installation of the new timer. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.